If you look at the introduction to tonight, it is Shabbat across America. In and of itself, nothing special. Every Friday night is Shabbat across America. But on this particular Shabbat, for the last 30 years, or almost, we would take one special service, and the idea of Shabbat across America was to be outreach. In theory, we would reach out to our communities and invite them into our synagogues and become extraordinarily welcoming and opening to share our spiritual home with the community. Over the last decades, that has slipped away. There used to be very special services for this night and whole programs, and much of that has kind of slid by the wayside. And so, although we celebrate tonight as Shabbat across America, it's because we're putting a focus on Shabbat and our regular Shabbat worship. So, what I suggest is that the joyfulness that we feel tonight sharing Shabbat across America with all of America and the Jews across the country is in fact no different than every Shabbat should be. Every Shabbat we should be sharing our joy, our joyfulness, and our blessings at being unique and part of a minority. I've spent my whole life being part of a minority. Not only was I Jewish, but I was Jewish in a community where there were only 12 Jews in the high school. I was suspended from school for truancy on Rosh Hashanah because the school board didn't know. Who would think? So, this is a Shabbat that's special amongst special Shabbatot. It's also Family Shabbat, but we're not doing the Family Shabbat service because it's Shabbat across America. So we're doing a number of different things tonight, but we are doing a regular service with some additions. One of the additions is over there. The people our Ohel Moed, our educational facility, because we can't call it a school anymore, we call it the Ohel Moed, which is the biblical tent of meeting. You had to be special to enter the tent of meeting. The tent of meeting was something that Moses set up outside of the campsite on the entire journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. So you guys are not really in a school. You are in something even bigger. You are in something enormously unique to Jews. You are in the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. All big decisions that Moses made on the entire Exodus from Egypt to the Promised Land were made inside the Ohel Moed. And the truth was, you had to be incredibly special and invited into the Ohel Moed. It wasn't like a 7-Eleven. You couldn't just walk in because you felt like it. You had to be invited in. And then your life would change. And you guys are all a piece of the Ohel Moed. That is why I don't call you our students. Because if I call you our students go to a school. And schools have teachers and tests. That's not what the Ohel Moed is about. The Ohel Moed is about to share with you what all of these folks know. Because the one thing that you know that they have known for so many years that they kind of forget is that they are here by choice. These people come on Friday nights and Saturday mornings and study Torah inside, and you see them in it on Saturday mornings. And I know that sometimes you look at each other and go, why are they here? They don't have to be here. And if you take a look, you can see that most of them are post-bar and bat mitzvah. Just saying. But they come here and keep this building happening, as do your parents, because this matters. And they come to the Friday night family service, even though it's a little bit different than what they're used to show you that this building really matters. It means something. It's different. So when you come here, those two ladies who educate you, but are not your teachers, have a very difficult job. They don't have to teach you a fact because you guys all have Google. So you don't have to know everything because you know where to find everything. And you can find anything you want on Google. Anything. As can they. But the one thing that you can't find on Google is how to feel. You can't find pride, and you can't find your heart being touched by something, by performing a mitzvah, and feeling that you get. Can't get that on Google. What a silly name for something. Google. I mean, think about it. I Googled it. So that's why we do these services, so that you can find out why their hearts are touched, and why they are touched by the fact that you are here trying to learn how to feel being Jewish. And you, on the other side, are reminding them why it matters. Why what we, the older ones, feel, and why it still is important to come here. They tell a story that a man was walking down the road, actually he was on a wagon, and he saw some man digging a hole to plant a tree. And the guy got off the wagon and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm resting a little bit because I'm planting a tree." And he said, "That's a fruit tree, isn't it?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what are you wasting your time for? Those trees take 20 years, 30 years to grow. What are you planting a tree for? What's good is that? You're not going to get any of the fruit." And he said, "I don't expect to get any of the fruit. I just want to make sure that what I love and care about, which is my fruit, is there for my grandchildren, so that they can come to this tree and they can pick fruit." It's the same thing being Jewish. We are planting things here and making things wonderful and good and feeling good, so that you guys walk out knowing what it feels like to be Jewish. So that what we're planting, which is this building, is not for nothing, but for something. That's why we do family services, so that we're all in it together. So when you take a look tomorrow, and you go, "Oh, they're here again," you'll know why they're here. They choose to be here because it's important. take just a moment, all of you, and work on this skill we've been working on since we were children, since they became our children. And work on that skill of offering true blessing, not just stories, and offer it to the person you came in with or the people you came in with. But think about it. Don't waste a blessing, either receiving or offering. And then turn to someone you didn't come in with and offer a blessing from the heart. Not stories, not booba-mices, not cute little snippets, but truthfully, a blessing. That was good. There will be a rehearsal on Tuesday at 6. For our candlelighting tonight, we call on Deborah Roth and Jill Argenziano. Shamor, to guard. Zachor, to remember.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Amen. And for those who are not sure, when you say amen, if you translate it, it really means I agree, which is why the tradition is that you don't, in fact, finish your own blessing, a blessing that you've recited, and then go, amen. Because basically then what you've said is, here's this whole blessing that I've just stated as a fact, and I agree with me. On the other hand, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yishmor mitzvotav v'rachsav alanu, v'shalach kosho v'halav u'v'ratzon v'ranu. And now we ask all of the population of the Ohel Moed to follow our personal Moshe, our personal Moses, to the doors, to open the doors for the Shabbat ride. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai. Yekada v'yekada shmeira, V'amati l'achirtei amletmanutei, V'chayecho u'yumecho u'v'chayecho b'eit Yisrael. Yehish me'irav v'marach, v'olam me'olamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtamach v'yitmahar v'yitmah v'yitnatzei, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal, shemei v'yisham. Le'ela v'kol birchata v'yishirata. Blessed, praised, honored, exalted, extolled, glorified, adored, and lauded be the name of the Holy Blessed One beyond all earthly words and songs of blessing, praise, and comfort, to which we say, Amen. תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. Amen. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kidron Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavecha v'kol nafshecha v'kol kavodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzvacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levavecha v'kibartam v'shinecha b'beitecha v'lechtecha b'derech v'shachlecha v'kumecha v'kshatanot al yedecha v'hayu l'tokachot bein einecha v'chtatam al mizuzot beitecha v'yisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם כל מצוותיי ואתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh. The center part of our service, we call on Amy Rosenshine Nader and Cheryl Lieberman. Na 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 na. Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Ha'gadol, Ha'gibor Ha'adonai, El Elyon, Domel Chasadim Tohi, B'Kodei Ha'kol, B'Zocher Chasdei Avot B'Imavot, Maybe Gula L'Ibnei B'neihem, T'ma'am Shemo B'Ma'ama, Melech Ozeinu Mashiach Nagei, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magei Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chayei HaKol Atah Kadoshia, You are forever mighty Adonai. You give life to all. You send life through love. You give life to all through great compassion. Restoring the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in dust. Who are mighty source of mighty acts. Who resemble you, sovereign takes in his light. Cause deliverance to spring up, and faithfully beyond the whole. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Vivian Berkman, Beverly Elster, Helen Heller, Len Heller, Harry Jackson, Sandu Kreuter, Evie Morabito, Joe Morabito, Joel Rosenberg, Ethel Rolnick, Sarah Teitelbaum. If there are other names, please feel free.
Jenny Shabona, Karen Louise, Snyder Beck, Melissa Matthews, Dave Zachary, Suzanne Brandell.
Frank Works, William Ben,
Ellen Dubrow, Al Chasen, Morris Chasen, Sidney Chasen, and David Chasen. David Mazovitz.
Carol Collins,
George Walsh. Cynthia Becker.
Marty Osias, Bob Stone, Joe Friedman.
Linda Crease Vittoria.
Alan Shirley Hoffman.
Susan Long.
Yehudi Butler Laird.
Now comes the part where they all go, what's he going to do next? Is he going to talk or what? Well, tonight it's going to be an or what. Because tonight our service is going to take a slight left turn as you, our congregation, are going to become participants in What Did Jews Know? A game show for Erev Shabbat. You are going to be asked questions by our judges, our mishpatim, who, as you can tell, have no interest in actually trying to trick you on a question, but they cannot possibly imagine what the answers will be. I'm going to have Rhoda Cantor, their teacher, explain the game to you. She will explain the rules of the game to you. And in spite of the differential in bat mitzvah dates between our questioners and our answerers, there will be, because it's Shabbat, no cheating allowed. Okay?
I am going to turn the mic over to one of our students, and she's going to explain.
Hello. Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. We are Ohel Moed at Temple Beth Israel. We are learning about the history of Jewish people in Florida, and we hope that you will participate in our Jewish trivia tonight.
questions will be asked very clearly because the difference between mankind and chickens is chickens got no lips. So when they ask questions, they come up like glue to them. So please use both your lips and be very clear.
Anyone want to take a guess?
Miami?
Of course I got the kids.
What?
St. Augustine.
Oh, there, oh, that's it.
Fort
Yeah, but
Lauderdale?
it's not, doesn't get them all.
Right.
Tampa?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg? Jacksonville?
Allendale.
Allendale? Hallandale? Hollywood?
Pensacola.
Julius, want to tell them?
Pensacola.
Congratulations, you win the second.
Who was the first Jewish family to come to Florida?
Who is the first Jewish family to come to Florida?
Let somebody else answer.
Who?
The Weiss family came to Florida in Miami, 1813.
Who is the family? The Weiss family. Weiss, not Rice, Weiss. W-E-I-S-S.
Where was the first Jewish community in Florida and when was it founded?
And please do not Google these answers.
McKenna, 1821, founded by Moses Levy.
Slightly north and west is the town of Micanopy. It's a real city. It's over on the other side of the lake and a little bit north, and it is called Micanopy. And that was the settling of the first Jews in Florida. It closed down shortly thereafter because there was no deli.
Who was our country's first Jewish senator?
Who would have thought? See, I get the sheet. Go ahead.
Yes. David Levy Yorley from Micanopy, Florida, who was the son of Moses Levy, founder of the first Jewish community.
If you've never heard of Micanopy, you've got to look this up. Florida Jews could not have existed without Micanopy. You know, Mick and his brother Opie.
Who was the first Jewish baseball player, and for which team did he play?
Kevin Youkilis played for the Boston Red Sox.
What was his name again? Huh? Kevin Youkilis. He wasn't the first Jewish baseball player.
He was among the first. Also.
Oh, he was among the first. But that was that guy from like 1923.
Who was Louis Brandeis?
One at a time.
Supreme Court judge.
The first Jewish judge on the Supreme Court in 1916 to 1939.
Now, who remembers that?
When was the first temple founded?
Where?
Jewish temple.
The first synagogue, Jewish synagogue in Florida. Micanopy couldn't afford a synagogue.
When was it founded? When?
The Holy Temple was founded in 1876.
Where was it? Where? Next.
Where was the first Jewish school in Miami?
What?
Come on.
Bais Yaakov in Miami, founded in 1918.
Who was William Dunn Mosley? Who was William Dunn Mosley?
Who was William Dunn Mosley? Ooh, I like this one. Who was William Dunn Mosley? Okay, they lose. Tell them.
The first governor of Florida. He was Jewish.
The first governor of Florida was Jewish. One last question.
And Rabbi Benson remembers it just like it was yesterday.
One last question.
What was the first Jewish deli?
What was the name of the first Jewish deli in Florida? Not for nothing, but I know some of you were there. No. I'm not going to tell you yet. We're having such fun listening to these answers.
If you get this wrong, your bucket
That's next.
certificate is rescinded.
No.
Schwartz's Deli.
Schwartz's.
Miami.
Okay. Thank you, guys. The idea was not to see if we could torture you, but to show you several things. First, our history in Florida actually is far more stable and far more involved than we ever thought. We assumed it was limited to juniors down in Miami and a couple of gangsters. It really isn't. The first governor of Florida, a Jew. A whole lot of other stuff that happens in the state. The Jews are involved. I mean, who would have thought that it would have been the Jews that found Micanopy? So, announcements. Are there announcements? Well, now, there are announcements, and part of this is to be fun, and part of it is to say we all learn from each other. Next month, we're going to have the kids ask you the exact same questions. And we're going to see how we do.
Schwartz's Deli in Micanopy. Got it. And Mosley, yes.
Good Shabbos. I'd like to wish those who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries this month, happy birthday and anniversary. Amy, happy anniversary to you. out, they brought a dish. It was absolutely wonderful. We had so much food that, and we were so busy, we forgot to take a picture to put in our shofar. So I know.
So bring it back.
Yeah, so we'll do it again next week and we'll take a picture. I also want to thank everybody who helped us set up and clean up this evening, because there was a lot of setup and cleanup, and we really appreciate your help. And a special thank you to Faith Krummenacher for charity. A couple quick announcements. I'm not going to go through all of them, in fact, any of them, because they are all in your weekly news. But what I do want to mention this evening, because it is not in the weekly news, is on March 12th, which is a week from Tuesday, and there are flyers out. You go to John Smith Subs between the hours of 4 and 8 p.m. They will donate 20% of the proceeds back to the temple. And this is good for either eat in or carry out, whichever you prefer. You do not need to take a flyer. All you have to do is say that you are doing this for Temple Beth El Israel's fundraiser. Take your family, take your friends, tell your friends and family. Go to John Smith Subs, which is in the same plaza as Very Fresh. Buy something and tell them that you're doing it for Temple Beth El Israel, and we automatically get 20% back. That's March 12th between the hours of 4 and 8. Like I said, all the other announcements are really in the weekly news. I'm not going to say any more other than please join us for the ONEG. It is sponsored by our Ohel Moed families. Ice cream and brownies. So Shabbat Shalom.
One last very quick announcement. If you have considered going on the trip with us in June to Europe and the Holocaust trip, we have gotten them to extend the registration without getting involved in late penalties. It is going to be an extraordinary trip, and we believe that there are 3 spaces left, and then the trip will be completely closed. So if you would like to consider what truly is a one-in-a-lifetime, I've never seen a trip like this, and I used to help create itineraries for a tour company. There hasn't ever been something quite like this. If you would like to join us, please talk to me or Faith or Toby. Like I said, there are 3 spaces left. We leave Monday, June 10th, and we come back on Friday, June 21st. And if you would like to go on a remarkable trip, that's the way to do it. To open the Ark for the Aleinu, we call on Liana Nader and Marissa Roth at the same time. And I would like to thank our Ohel Moed students for educating us and having fun with us, and their teachers, Maddie and Rhoda, who are working hard, and next month we'll have more fun stuff for us to do on Let's Trick the Jews night. Aleinu l'shabeach adon Marco, v'afeitu b'al yotzer b'reshit, shelo asar divrei ha'atzot, v'lo samadu b'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samadu b'yadeh, v'gor aleinu yechol ha'manam, v'anavdu horim, u'mishtahavim u'morim, Lefenelech, Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, She'unot Hashemayim Yosef Haaretz, Moshe Yikaro B'Shemayim Limahal, U'Shchina Tizot, U'Shchina B'kodei Meromi, Hu Eloheinu Le'od, Emet Hakeinu Le'mezulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'Yadazayom, Hashivota El Levadecha, V'Adonai Hu Elohim, V'Shamayim Himahal, V'Haaretz V'Haaretz, V'Yitarakein Hod. V'Ne'emar, V'Haya Adonai, L'melech ha'aretz, Hayom hahu, Hayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shema, U'shema, U'shema echad, U'shema echad. We remain standing as we think of loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. As we mention the names of Lila Levine, mother of Robert Levine, Tina Hecht, grandmother of Marissa Silverman, and Michael A. Merlin, brother of Linda Gresham. We also mention those who departed in years past as we recognize the yard sites tonight of Rosalind Goldbach Anderson, Anna Baslow, David A. Block, Jenny Filler, Lila Friedman, Louise Kedal, Doris Glick, Rita Goldberg, Henry Goldstein, Rachel Goldstein, Saul Hardikson, Stuart Hirsch, Theodore Hock, Benedict Kahan, Joseph Kempf, Ann Kuyten, Frida Cornell, Gertrude Kupfer, Morris Levy, Fanny Link, Joseph Lazansky, Esther Lynn Maitland, Edith Mendelson, Evelyn Oppenheimer, Marianne Potter, Sidney Ribicoff, Florence Rice, Joan Rifkin, David Rossman, Norma Seidel, Sarah Stern, Nathan Tornansky, Maurice Weissport, Philip Yudlowitz. We also remember all those taken by the hand of the oppressor, including over 1.5 million children for whom we are responsible to recite Kaddish. Yet Gadal, Yet Gadash, Shehara, Ramat Yadach Kutei, Yalich Machutei, Chayechon, Yomechon, Chayechon, Beit Yisrael, Ba'chalat Zman Chaliv Yemelu, Yehei Shnei Radom Evarach, Yolot L'Omer Vayah, Yisbarach, Yishabach, Yisbahar, 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 Shnei Kusha, Yurichu, Elam B'chol Yilchata V'shilata, Yishbachata Nechemata, Amen B'olam Yiruvayim, Yesh Ha'arav Mitzvah, V'chayim Aleinu, V'chol Yisrael, Yiruvayim, Oseh Shalom Yirumah, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu V'chol Yisrael, Yiruvayim. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, haoseh et haaretz. Amen. Chala, chala. And at the appropriate time, if you would follow the challah, that would be really good. And as we go forward, let us know that our children help us to learn. Let us compelled that we have children to leave this wonderful, amazing thing called Judaism too, and let us go from strength to strength together and forward. Shabbat Shalom.